Writing. The weight of this day is still sitting on your chest. Even now, as the night grows quieter, your mind refuses to rest. The room may be dark, but inside your thoughts, everything still feels loud. The conversations you keep replaying. The bills you are trying not to think about. The fear of tomorrow. The exhaustion you try to hide from everyone else. And somewhere deep inside, there is a silent question you have not spoken out loud. Lord, how much longer can I carry all of this? Tonight, you do not need to pretend you are strong. You do not need to hold yourself together for one more hour. You do not need to smile through the pressure. You do not need to explain your tired heart to anyone. Because before this night ends, God already sees every hidden burden you carried through the day. He saw the moment you almost broke down. He saw the stress you buried behind your responsibilities. He saw the tears you held back because you did not want anybody to worry. He saw the mental exhaustion that no one else noticed. And tonight, heaven is not asking you to fight harder. Heaven is inviting you to finally release what has been crushing your soul. So slowly breathe in. And as you breathe out, let your spirit hear these words. Lord, take all my worries tonight. Take the fears I cannot fix. Take the pressure I keep carrying alone. Take the anxiety that follows me into every quiet moment. Take the heaviness that keeps stealing my peace. Because I am tired of carrying things you never asked me to carry by myself. Some people are exhausted physically. But others are exhausted emotionally. And emotional exhaustion is difficult to explain because the body keeps moving while the heart quietly runs out of strength. Maybe that is where you are tonight. You finished your responsibilities, but your mind never stopped working. You answered messages while silently fighting discouragement. You handled problems while secretly wondering who would help you carry yours. You kept functioning while your inner world slowly became overwhelmed. And now the night has come. The same night where many people feel the loneliness they ignored during the day. Because distractions disappear at night. Noise fades away. Schedules pause. And suddenly your thoughts become impossible to escape. The memories return. The uncertainty grows louder. The regrets begin speaking again. But this night does not have to become another battle inside your mind. Tonight can become a place of surrender instead of survival. You were never created to live every day in constant tension. You were never meant to fall asleep with fear controlling your breathing. You were never designed to carry tomorrow before tomorrow even arrives. Yet so many hearts live this way every single night. Some people worry about finances. Some worry about children. Some worry about relationships that feel broken beyond repair. Others are carrying hidden grief they cannot explain to anyone. And sometimes the hardest burden is not one specific problem. Sometimes it is the accumulation of everything. Too many disappointments. Too many unanswered prayers. Too many exhausting seasons back to back. The soul reaches a point where it whispers, I cannot keep carrying this pressure. And that whisper matters to God. Not because He is disappointed in your weakness. But because He never expected you to become your own source of peace. Tonight, God is not demanding perfection from you. He is offering rest. Real rest. The kind that reaches deeper than sleep. Because sleep alone cannot calm a troubled spirit. A person can close their eyes for 8 hours and still wake up emotionally drained. True rest happens when the heart releases its grip on fear. And maybe that is the invitation waiting for you tonight. To stop gripping everything so tightly. Not because your problems are imaginary. Not because your struggles are small. but because worry has never healed a wounded soul. Worry only drains today while stealing strength from tomorrow. Think about how many moments anxiety has already taken from you. Moments you should have enjoyed. Conversations you could not fully be present in. Peaceful evenings that became filled with overthinking. Beautiful opportunities clouded by fear of failure. Worry has a way of turning blessings into pressure. Instead of resting, the mind keeps preparing for disaster. Instead of breathing deeply, the heart stays guarded. Instead of trusting God one day at a time, the soul keeps trying to control outcomes it cannot predict. And eventually exhaustion arrives. Not because you are weak, but because constant emotional tension wears down even the strongest people. Tonight, perhaps God is gently asking you something important. What would happen if you finally placed this burden into my hands? Not temporarily. Not for 5 minutes. But completely. What if tonight became the night you stopped rehearsing worst-case scenarios? What if this became the night you admitted that carrying every outcome is destroying your peace? You do not have to solve your entire future before sunrise. You only need enough grace for this moment. There is something beautiful about the quietness of night. Night removes performance. No audience. No expectations. No pressure to appear successful. It becomes just you and God. And sometimes healing begins in those quiet conversations nobody else hears. Sometimes the holiest prayers are not polished sentences. Sometimes they sound like, "Lord, I am overwhelmed. Lord, I am scared. Lord, I do not know what to do anymore. Lord, please carry what I cannot carry tonight." And heaven listens to those prayers too. God does not ignore exhausted hearts. He moves close to them. Especially the people who feel emotionally worn out from trying to hold everything together. Tonight, you are allowed to stop pretending. If your heart feels heavy, say it. If your mind feels tired, admit it. If your soul feels discouraged, bring it honestly before God. Because healing begins where honesty replaces hiding. Many people spend years suppressing what they truly feel. They become experts at appearing fine while quietly struggling inside. But hidden stress still affects the soul. It affects sleep. It affects relationships. It affects peace. It affects hope. And sometimes the strongest thing a person can do is finally say, "Lord, I need your help." Not tomorrow. Not after everything improves. Right now. Tonight. You may not realize how much pressure you have been carrying mentally. Pressure to succeed. Pressure to provide. Pressure to fix everyone else's problems. Pressure to avoid disappointing people. Eventually the mind becomes crowded with expectations. And crowded minds struggle to hear peace. That is why stillness matters. Not empty silence, but sacred stillness. The kind where you sit quietly before God and release what has been suffocating your heart. Tonight, before sleep comes, take a slow breath again. Loosen your shoulders. Relax your jaw. Unclench the tension in your body. Your nervous system has been fighting battles all day. Your body remembers stress even when your mouth says nothing. And maybe this moment right now is your invitation to stop carrying emergency emotions for situations that have not even happened yet. You cannot control every outcome. You cannot predict every tomorrow. You cannot protect yourself from every disappointment. But you can choose where you place your trust tonight. There are people listening right now who are afraid of the future. Afraid that things may never improve. Afraid they may fail. Afraid of losing something important. Afraid that life may remain difficult longer than expected. Fear creates exhausting stories inside the mind. Stories about failure. Stories about rejection. Stories about disaster. But fear is a terrible narrator. It speaks loudly while knowing very little about what God is preparing beyond this season. The truth is, your current chapter is not your entire story. And tonight, you do not need all the answers in order to rest. You only need the willingness to stop carrying tomorrow before it arrives. That is difficult for many people because control feels safer than surrender. But control is exhausting. Trying to manage every possible outcome creates constant anxiety. Surrender, however, creates space for peace. Not because every problem disappears instantly, but because the soul no longer feels alone inside the struggle. And perhaps that is what your heart truly needs tonight. Not another motivational speech. Not another distraction. Not another way to avoid your emotions. But genuine peace. The kind that settles the storm inside your chest. There are nights when the mind becomes a courtroom. Every mistake gets replayed. Every regret gets revisited. Every insecurity gets examined. You remember things you wish you handled differently. You criticize yourself for not being stronger. You question whether you are doing enough. And self-criticism quietly steals rest. But tonight, God is not asking you to punish yourself for being human. He already knows your weaknesses. He already understands your limitations. Grace was never meant for perfect people. Grace exists for tired people. For overwhelmed people. For discouraged people. For people carrying invisible burdens. That means grace exists for you tonight too. You are allowed to release the pressure to have everything figured out. You are allowed to stop blaming yourself for every difficult season. You are allowed to rest without earning it. Some hearts are tired because they have been carrying disappointment for a long time. Prayers that seemed unanswered. Doors that never opened. Relationships that slowly drifted apart. Dreams that unfolded differently than expected. Disappointment creates quiet sadness. Not dramatic sadness. Just a deep emotional ache that lingers beneath everyday life. And sometimes disappointment turns into hopelessness without people even noticing. They stop expecting joy. They stop believing peace is possible. They survive instead of living. But tonight, hope is still alive even if it feels small. A tiny light still matters in a dark room. And maybe tonight your faith does not need to feel powerful. Maybe it only needs to whisper. Lord, I still trust you with my life. Even fragile faith matters to God. Especially fragile faith. Because fragile faith is honest faith. Tonight, stop measuring your worth by your productivity. You are more than unfinished tasks. You are more than financial stress. You are more than your mistakes. You are more than other people's opinions. Your soul deserves rest too. Not just your schedule. Many people know how to rest physically while remaining emotionally restless. They sit down, but their thoughts keep racing. They lie in bed, but their spirit stays tense. Tonight, ask God to calm not only your surroundings but also your inner world. Because peace inside the heart changes everything. Now, before this night moves forward, take a quiet moment to think about what has been weighing on you the most lately. Maybe it is one specific situation. Maybe it is many things at once. Do not rush past it. Name it honestly before God. Your fear. Your exhaustion. Your uncertainty. your frustration, your sadness. You do not have to hide any of it tonight. And as you bring those burdens forward, listen carefully to this truth. You do not have to carry tomorrow tonight. Tomorrow has not arrived yet. The future is not asking for your energy at this exact moment. This moment is asking for surrender. And surrender is not weakness. Surrender is trusting that God can hold what you cannot control. Now let this prayer become personal. Lord, tonight I come before you honestly. Not polished. Not pretending. Not trying to sound strong. You already know the worries I carried through this day. You saw the moments where anxiety tightened around my thoughts. You saw the pressure I tried to hide from other people. You saw the silent fears I never spoke aloud. And tonight, I do not want to carry them alone anymore. Father, take the burdens that have been exhausting my heart. Take the fears that keep stealing my peace. Take the thoughts that keep me awake at night. Take the heaviness that has followed me through this season. I release the need to control everything. I release the pressure to fix every problem immediately. I release the fear of tomorrow. Please quiet the chaos inside my mind. Where there is tension, bring calm. Where there is discouragement, breathe hope again. Where there is confusion, bring clarity step by step. Where there is emotional exhaustion, restore strength gently. Lord, help me stop carrying responsibilities that belong in your hands. Teach me how to rest without guilt. Teach me how to trust without panic. Teach me how to breathe again without fear controlling my thoughts. Tonight I pray for peaceful sleep. Let my body relax. Let my breathing slow down. Let my racing thoughts become still. Protect my mind from overwhelming fear. Protect my heart from hopelessness. Protect my spirit from despair. And while I sleep tonight, remind me that I am not abandoned. You are still working in places I cannot yet see. Even in uncertain seasons, you remain faithful. Even in delayed answers, you remain present. Even in difficult nights, your mercy still surrounds me. Lord, carry what feels too heavy for me tonight. And when morning comes, help me wake up lighter than I feel right now. In Jesus' name, Amen. As this night continues, remember something important. Rest is not laziness. Some people feel guilty whenever they slow down. They believe they must constantly produce, constantly fix, constantly achieve. But exhausted souls cannot heal in non-stop pressure. Even Jesus stepped away from noise to rest. That means rest is not weakness. Rest is wisdom. Tonight, allow yourself to pause emotionally. You do not need to solve every life problem before sleeping. You do not need to mentally rehearse tomorrow repeatedly. Prepare what you can. Then release the rest. One practical thing you can do tonight is simple. Write down the worries circling inside your head. Not to obsess over them, but to stop carrying them mentally all night long. Sometimes thoughts become louder because the mind is afraid of forgetting them. Writing things down helps create emotional space. Another helpful practice is gratitude. Not forced positivity. Not pretending life is perfect, but intentionally remembering small evidences of grace. A conversation that encouraged you. Food on the table. A moment of laughter. A prayer that strengthened you. A quiet breath after a stressful day. Gratitude does not erase pain, but it prevents pain from becoming the only thing you can see. And tonight, maybe you also need permission to disconnect from constant noise. The world trains people to remain emotionally overstimulated. Always scrolling. Always consuming information. Always comparing. But comparison silently destroys peace. It convinces people that everyone else is ahead while they are falling behind. Yet social media rarely shows hidden struggles. Many smiling faces are privately carrying deep pain. So stop measuring your life against carefully edited snapshots of other people's journeys. God is writing your story differently. Different timing does not mean failure. Some blessings require slower preparation. Some healing requires longer seasons. Some growth happens quietly beneath the surface before visible change appears. Do not rush the process God is using to strengthen your soul. Tonight, instead of obsessing over where you should already be, thank God for how far He has already brought you. There were seasons you thought would destroy you completely. Yet you are still here. Not because life has been easy, but because grace kept sustaining you even when you felt weak. And maybe tonight, instead of asking, "Why is everything difficult?" you can gently ask, "Lord, what are you teaching my heart through this season?" Sometimes hardship teaches dependence. Sometimes waiting teaches patience. Sometimes disappointment teaches compassion for others. Pain is never pleasant. But even painful seasons can shape deeper wisdom. Still, God does not expect you to enjoy suffering. He simply invites you to keep bringing your burdens to Him honestly. Tonight, if tears come, let them come. Tears are not failure. Sometimes tears are the soul releasing pressure words could never explain. And after the tears, peace often enters quietly. Not dramatic peace. Not loud emotion. Just a calm reminder that you are being held together by grace even now. The night is slowly moving forward. And before sleep finds you, hear this carefully. Your life is not falling apart simply because you feel overwhelmed tonight. Overwhelmed moments happen to human beings. Strong people experience them. Faithful people experience them. Good-hearted people experience them. Do not define your entire future by one exhausting season. Storms feel permanent while you are standing inside them. But seasons change. Healing comes gradually. Strength returns slowly. Hope rebuilds step by step. And one day you may look back at this difficult season and realize that God carried you more gently than you understood at the time. For now, your assignment tonight is simple. Rest. Not perfect planning. Not emotional overworking. Not carrying the entire future in your imagination. Just rest. Let God handle what your exhausted mind cannot solve tonight. The sky does not stay dark forever. Morning always arrives eventually. And when tomorrow comes, grace will meet you there too. So loosen your grip on fear now. Release the pressure to have every answer. Release the fear of disappointing everyone. Release the burden of trying to control outcomes beyond your reach. And allow peace to settle over your heart little by little. May your thoughts become quieter tonight. May your breathing become calmer tonight. May your soul finally exhale tonight. May God cover your home with peace. May He strengthen your weary heart. May He renew your exhausted mind. May He protect your sleep from anxiety and fear. And may tomorrow carry fresh mercy you cannot yet see tonight. The worries that followed you into this evening do not have to follow you into rest. Place them gently into God's hands now. Then close your eyes knowing this. You do not have to carry everything anymore. The Lord is watching over you tonight. And you can finally rest.